So I'd like to invite to go on stage Frederico Lacerda from another accelerator, 21212.
Hello. So, bom dia, good morning. It's also a pleasure to be here. Let's see if this works. I think it's not in the presentation yet. Okay. Go back with the time. Okay. So, I came here to tell a story today about building bridges. So, my name is Frederico Lacerda. I am the founder of 2122, a digital accelerator based in Rio de Janeiro and New York. And our name came from these two locations. So 21 is the area code of Rio de Janeiro, and 212 is the area code of New York. And it's precisely that the subject of my talk today. Not about numbers or area codes, but about the experience of building an accelerator that connects two countries to encourage entrepreneurship, develop a digital ecosystem, and empower entrepreneurs. So to tell this story, we'll go back in time to the beginning of 2011 when we created the first digital accelerator of Brazil in a bridge between Rio de Janeiro in Brazil and the US market. It has been only 2 years, but it seems an eternity for us. And by the end of 2010, all the founders of 2122 were entrepreneurs in Brazil or in the US. And while looking for a bigger problem to solve, we saw that it was not easy to start a new business in Brazil due to all the bureaucracy and high taxes. It was even harder to make it grow and almost impossible to think and plan a realistic exit. We didn't have also a digital ecosystem developed from the perspective of investors and entrepreneurs. And there were only a few cases of success of digital entrepreneurs, so there was a huge experience gap in the market. And on the other hand, we saw Brazil as a huge opportunity. The Brazilians were not only attractive because of their beautiful bodies, but also because they represented a massive consumer market, one of the biggest of the world. And the Wall Street Journal recently considered Brazil as the social media capital of the universe, which means that Brazilians are highly engaged with digital products. And it was also really easy to find talented people in Brazil and abroad who wanted to build something there. And most people would just say that we should do something else because the challenges in Brazil were really big, but for us and for anyone today, it was not like a secret how to build the perfect startup. We had all the methodologies, we had experience, and we also had enough experiences in Brazil as entrepreneurs to understand what was required to overcome all these challenges. And as most people will agree, the US was for us a great option and an obvious option to do this kind of, to go and get this kind of experience. And we decided to stay in Rio, so I have the same picture of Luisa here because it's one of the most gorgeous landscapes of Rio in Botafogo, where our office is. So we decided to stay there, first because we love Brazil and we love Rio de Janeiro, and second because we really believe in the vast potential of the digital space in Rio and in Brazil, so we just decided to develop it. And our conclusion was that we should get into an ecosystem building mode, and that's exactly where the bridge comes to our story. So even with decades of experience with entrepreneurship and a vast local network, it's really hard to develop an ecosystem where it doesn't exist. So we decided to accelerate this process, creating this strong connection between Brazil and a place, the US, where we could find all the resources we needed. So what lessons did we learn about building bridges? I will try to explore some of them in this presentation. So the first thing, bridges depend on both borders. So an unilateral bridge won't work because there needs to have like interest on both borders in order to create a sustainable connection in the long term, and also avoid to have like huge investments from only one of the borders. So it makes a lot of sense to create this kind of connection when there's something that can be exchanged, then something that can be sent from one side to the other. And for us, this was really clear since the beginning. We started with our founding partners. So our Brazilian partners, they wanted to have access to all the tools, experiences, and to the US investors in order to build startups in Brazil. And our US partners, they wanted to understand better the Brazilian business culture, how to do business in Brazil, in order to explore the whole market, its opportunities. Another lesson, it takes time to build bridges. So you need time to lay the foundation of the bridge and start to see actual business flowing from one side to the other. And that's why we always recommend that people who want to build a bridge between two countries, they need to be really focused. They need to do it slowly, one at a time, and have discipline, because this is not so easy and it takes some time. We have been doing that for 2 years now. And as I said, it seems an eternity for us, but we know that we have a lot to learn yet. We have a lot to improve. So it's not that easy. You won't have like a full bridge, an operating bridge in some months. You also need to take advantage of the right stuff. So it's like, for us, it was really clear that it would be impossible to do business in Brazil as Americans. So our bridge cannot change completely the way we do business. And on the other hand, you need to take advantage of what the other side of the bridge has to offer. So this combination can be something really powerful. At 2122, we never gave up being Brazilian. We know that we need to import the best practice of the US market and some cultural changes, but it was really important to keep what makes us unique and more special than the rest of the world, the Brazilian way of doing business. And the outcome of that has been like a huge improvement in the quality of results we have been presented. And bridges can't be real only in theory, so you can't keep it on paper or just as a bunch of foreign names on your website. For us, this was actually an opportunity to connect our entrepreneurs to the right people. So many of our American partners, such as Google, Amazon Web Services, they open direct channels between its engineers in the US and our entrepreneurs in Brazil. And we were also able to connect our entrepreneurs to some of the founders of the companies in which they were inspired, thanks to this connection. And you need to use the bridge all the time, so that's the only way to avoid it losing strength. So for that, you need to actually break the geographical boundaries. You need to have entrepreneurs and employees who are masters in the art of doing video conferences and calls. And at 2122, this is also something really usual. We always have at least one partner, entrepreneur, or mentor outside Brazil, but it's like if they were at the same place all the time. And on the other hand, it's really important to guarantee, to ensure that people will also be able to interact in the real world. So this kind of reach and the connections, they can be really stronger when people meet in person. So we try to do at least once a year this kind of connection in person, over beer in preference. Bridges must have a long-term goal. So this is really important. You need to know what you want to achieve with your connection. And for us at 2122, one of the biggest goals was to actually expand the operation of Brazilian startups to the US market. And we actually did it. So this last year, we expanded Queremos, or now We Demand, which is an innovative crowdfunding platform focused on producing live events and shows. And they were accelerated in our second class in Brazil. And now they are producing shows in New York and other cities of the US. And we are proud to say that Queremos is an example of innovation being exported from Brazil to the US. And their expansion was possible due to several factors. The most important of them was the fact that Benjamin White, one of our American founders, was involved in person in Brazil during their acceleration program, which allow us to create a vision of international expansion since the beginning. One other really important factor is the participation at international events like TechCrunch Disrupt and Explorers Festival. So this is really important to allow you to be exposed to investors who might be interested in your company and especially in your expansion to that country. And it's not only about taking a plane. You actually need to create a network, a strong network in the country where you're trying to expand to in order to turn your visit into real business. So this is a great example of Queremos. They were the tool chosen by Snoop Dogg to do the new tour in the US. So you need to highlight the positives of your border all the time. So what I mean by that is that you need to reinforce all the time what is special about your country. And for us, this is really easy in Rio. So as our companies, they need to import foreign money and talent. Rio is a place where this can happen because foreign people, maybe most of you, would like to go to Rio to have the full Brazil experience. So when our companies actually need to bring their best talent to work in Brazil, Rio is a much easier sell. And bridges are unique. So there are no manuals on how to create the bridges. And when creating your own bridge, you cannot simply copy the other existing bridges. So it's really important to understand what are the gaps and cultural differences of each of the borders, and actually how they complement each other. And the most important thing, you need to have people engaging on both sides to make it happen. Otherwise, it's almost impossible. And I'm sorry, but I need to tell you, maybe you won't get it right the first time. We didn't. So for 2122, nothing was so clear at the beginning. It was a real improvement process all the time. So the process of development of 2122 was totally based on the Lean Startup methodology. Probably most of you know this methodology. So we tested, we failed, we tested again, we learned, and we keep doing that all the time. But when you get it right, what can happen? So I'd like to play a video to show what happened at 2122. That's not me.
Parabéns, Rio de Janeiro. Cidade maravilhosa. Parabéns. Parabéns, Rio de Janeiro. Te adoro.
Parabéns, Rio de Janeiro. É só.
Parabéns pro Rio. Cidade maravilhosa, te amo.
Rio de Janeiro.
448.
448.
É, gringo reconhece isso. Eu sou gringo que eu não conheço, mas parabéns, Rio. Parabéns.
Parabéns, Rio de Janeiro.
Parabéns, Rio de Janeiro.
Acho não,
é português.
Parabéns, Rio de Janeiro.
Parabéns, Rio de Janeiro. Eu gostando muito a cidade maravilhosa. Muito boa cidade.
Parabéns, Rio. Feliz aniversário.
Tá gostando?
Cara, eu adoro o Rio. Cidade melhor do Brasil, melhor do mundo. Sem dúvida, sem dúvida.
Well, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have questions?
We have some time for questions.
1 minute.
1 minute, exactly. Anyone? Go. Who wants to go to Rio? Come on. Okay. So, how to get to your program?
So it's really similar about what Luisa said. So we have it's really important to have a full team. In Brazil, there is a huge challenge about finding good people, and we actually just created a talent agency inside our own program because of that. So we are attracting people from all around the world to work with our startups. But for 21, 22, it's really important to have a full team, to have a prototype at least, a running project. We started with projects that were more on paper. Now we are pivoting. As one of our lessons learned, we are working with more developed startups and focus on B2B, B2C, doesn't matter, but we need to solve a real problem, have a huge market. And it's really important to be focused on Brazil because Brazil is a huge market. So we love cases of startups that can be international, but we understand that we know a lot about Brazil. We know how to get big in Brazil, so this is our main goal. And so for any startup who wants to go to Brazil and conquer that market, that's actually what we are looking for now.
And you accept applications through your website?
Website.
Every time of the year?
Yeah, all the year, all year long.
Because it's summer all year long in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro as well, so it's all kidding.
Yeah, it's summer in Brazil all the time, so
all the time.
That's easy.
Okay, really, we still have like some, well, actually we don't, so thank you.
No problem.